welcome to the Pitchline Chronicles. I am Uncle Tess. I'm here with my brother, Donald Stewart. And holy shit, the Yankees actually won a game. They actually won a game where it was a very low-stress game. I never thought I'd see the day. But really, let's give credit where it begins, and that's Clark Schmidt. This dude, I'm feeling a lot more. Each start gives me more confidence with him on the mound. And we've bashed him in the beginning of the season. Is he the guy? Is Herman the guy? Who's going to be there when Severino gets back? And Schmidt was like, you know what? Fuck all he is. I'm just going to show you what I can do. And he's going to figure it out. Schmidt, it goes beyond words. Because the way that he's been able to switch the narrative on the pitching side is really something to really have a lot of respect for.
Schmidt's been awesome. I've always liked him. I've always liked his stuff. I just think that they needed to give him a chance. They haven't really done so until this year. They never really had a plan for him until this year, but he stepped up. They also gave him a chance to develop because he didn't start the greatest to start this year, but he's improved his consistency in his command, and he's been one of our. I think you would say he's been our second best pitcher this year, without question. He's been our second best pitcher behind Garrett Cole.
Oh, absolutely. You know, even with Nesta, you know, he was having, you know, his season was kind of up and down. You know, obviously we know he was dealing with some small injuries that kind of got escalated that sent him to the IL. You know, he's on his way back. You know, he had a really good start the other day. But Schmidt is, if we say by some miracle we make a playoff run, you could easily say that it should be Cole, Schmidt, Nestor would be the 1, 2, 3 at this point.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see how Nestor does in the next few starts. Obviously, the first start was promising for him, but you have to see over a longer stretch. But yeah, back to Schmidt. I think, you know, he's added an extra pitch to his arsenal, and it's helped him a lot.
It just shows sometimes, you know, the more patient we are as a fan base, wanting guys to play well, and we just let them do their thing and figure it out, the rewards can come. It's not a guarantee, you know, rewards aren't guaranteed, but at least you know that, all right, the payoff is now here, especially with somebody like Schmidt. Because we were trying to figure out, is he better suited for the bullpen? He was having trouble with the second turn through the order. And with patience and perseverance on his part and from the organization, this is now what we're going to get. I think dude's a legitimate starter. He's got great stuff. He's really figuring out how to command, you know, how to work his own. You know, those are things that, you know, those are the parts of the game that don't come natural.
Let's do an early roll call. Shout out to NFE, Dev, and Anthony Garcia. Shout out.
Guys. Thanks for hanging out.
Good morning to everyone. Salute. So, yeah, it's good to talk about a win for once. What would you say was the key to the game, Tats?
What happened?
What would you say was the key to the game last night, Tats?
I really think it was Schmidt. I think it was Schmidt being able to, and also obviously the bullpen as well. But when you got to talk about pitching, it always goes to the starter. You know, he's got to set the tone. Schmidt set the tone of, we're not losing this game. You know, and he was, you know, because as much as the White Sox are kind of shifting the narrative and trying to kind of reset their roster, you know, there were not a lot of high expectations for the White Sox. They still have really legitimate ball players on that club. Mm-hmm. And they are still going to win a lot more games than they're going to lose. So being able to shut down that lineup, especially when you have guys like Robert, you know, who was the only one that put the run up. You know, it was just a line drive that just kept going. It's not like it was like some moonshot off a mistake. You know, it could have easily, and I don't know how many stadiums that would have been a home run. You know, it would have just went off the wall for maybe a double. They have guys that can hurt you, and Schmidt navigated through it perfectly. I think him. He's really he just really turned it around. There's really no other way around it.
I totally agree with what NFE is saying here. Talk about improving throughout the season. Schmidt is that guy. Schmidt is that guy. I'm so glad that they showed a little bit of patience with him. I mean, a lot of it was because they had no choice, because everyone was getting down. You wonder if they would have made that same decision had Cortez been fully healthy and Domingo Herman maybe not had that issue and Montas didn't get hurt and all that stuff. But it's worked out. Schmidt's taken the opportunity and he's ridden with it. And I'm glad that they showed an element of patience, which they haven't done with any of their previous prospects, especially pitching prospects, to find his feet. And he's found his feet. And I really hope that from now on, they have him in that starting rotation every year, because I think he's that guy. I think he is that guy. I like his presence on the mound. I like the fact that he works efficiently, and I like his arsenal. I especially like his curveball.
His
He
curveball
develops
is
that fastball a little bit better, and he's been doing that. So, maybe Matt Blake's helped him out, but it's good to see Clark Schmidt find his feet, show what he's about. I've always been a fan of him. I've been, as you know, Tats, I've been actually asking for him to be in our starting rotation for the last 2 years. I'm really glad that they've finally given him that chance.
No, and I was on the other side of that. I'm like, I don't know where he fits into the rotation, because we were seeing all the positives from Herman, despite his issues. Not even just going with this year, the year before. Herman was one of our better pitchers. Vester was being talked at, the whole first half. We were going, he was one of the best pitchers in the rotation. He was in the Cy Young discussion for the first half. It's, where is he going to fit was the question. And I think he himself answered everybody's question going, no, I'm good. Don't worry about it when I'm on the mound. And that's a breath of fresh air that we have not had this season, because we have, when you have a manager that wants to just have that quick hook all the time, you're seeing that they're getting, the organization itself is really developing a lot of patience with Schmidt and giving him, for lack of term, but it does fit, that ace-like, comfort, where you know that you can trust him, that you can get an extra batter out of him if needed. And the whole thing is not going to collapse. I think he's giving everybody, himself as well, that trust. And that
it really shows the difference between. I mean, that's why I've always been an advocate for developing within your farm, because we've overpaid for Montas to get him via trade. Exactly. Overpaid to get him via trade. We've not seen him. Right? We've overpaid for Rodon, who I think was actually hurt. Or certainly, well, he's basically been hurt since we got him.
Yeah.
So, we're spending a ton of money to get these starters that have not worked out to this point. And that's why you need to develop. That's why you need to develop pitchers in your system, and they haven't done it. As Dev Finch says here, he's done it. It's like, that's why you want to develop from within, because if you can find an arm where you've developed yourself, it's going to be available every 5 days.
Yep.
There's something to be said for that. There really is. So. NFE says here Rodon is never 100%. I think.
Yeah,
I think so too. Out of necessity, but I mean, I still supported the Rodon signing. I still do, but it just shows, though, when you go into the market and you have to bring in a starter, you're at the mercy of a lot of things that could go wrong. But if you develop from within, there's a much greater chance of success, in my opinion, and it saves money if you develop a good starter. So they've finally done it with Clark Schmidt. I just hope they don't screw this up.
No, and it just shows the importance of developing from within. Because when you have to go on the open market, look at the comparisons between what we're getting from Rodon and what we're getting from Schmidt, right? Is it one of those? There's two ways that this could be looked at. Is it, actually more? There's a few ways. Are pitchers that injury prone? Is Rodon a victim of the pitch clock and having to rush, where he doesn't have a normal pace that he's had for his whole career? That might. I'm also more curious if the pitch clock is affecting more pitchers that in the negative way, as opposed to the pace of the game. That will not. That's going to take some time to really develop that type of data. Is it? I got my money. I'm good. Where on the other side with Schmidt, he's trying to earn his money. He's trying to earn his keep. So he's got a little extra motivation behind him. Or is it just clearly the stuff is just better, than we thought?
Well, this is an interesting take we got from Warren France. Good to see you again, my guy. Relax. Clark is 27, can't go past 6. He's Jordan Montgomery Jr. Randy Vasquez is a higher B WAR than Clark. He's not that good. Interesting. So
respectable.
What I'll say to that, in my personal opinion, is Clark Schmidt has actually got much better stuff than Jordan Montgomery. In my opinion, I don't think Jordan Montgomery has 1+ pitch. I think he's got a decent changeup. That's about it. But I like Clark Schmidt's curveball, and I like I like the way he mixes his pitches better. I think there's a higher upside with Clark Schmidt than there ever has been with Jordan Montgomery. Hence why Jordan Montgomery was made available. I'm excited to see what Randy Vasquez can do, though, in a higher sample size. He could be somebody that could be good. But in my opinion, I think Clark Schmidt is better than Jordan Montgomery. And saying he can't go past 6, I think a lot of that is because the Yankees don't want him to face the order the third time round. But I think if they did stretch him out, I think he'd be absolutely fine. They've got a very tight leash on Clark Schmidt. That's a Yankee organizational thing. But I think Clark Schmidt would be absolutely fine if he went over 6.
Yeah, and it's also the factor of what we saw last year with Cortez. It's these guys are pitching innings limits that they've never reached before. So, yeah, I would hope that they would be more cautious with how they push them through these games. When you have a lead, I know it wasn't a big lead when they pulled them, but you don't want to overstep his accomplishment. You just want to let him do his thing. But with Warren, the reason that we were speaking so highly on Schmidt is when you look at the way his starts were going in the beginning of the year to how comfortable we are now, we're just giving him his due for putting the work in and bringing us to a comfort level when he's on the mound. We're not trying to say like he's some ace in the making. I don't think that would be a fair statement.
No, but I think he is. He has been our number 2 starter this year.
What's going
and
on,
that's what's
John?
the hardest thing to say.
Now, the other part of the pitching staff when it comes to the injuries, how we feeling about Loizaga being back?
Hey, any arm that we can get back for that bullpen is a good thing. There's no downside to that. Any extra arm, quality arm that we can get is obviously going to help us. But it's another arm and it takes more pressure off of dudes like Peralta, who's been overused. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, Peralta needs like the whole series off.
Yeah,
which they won't do because they're smarter than us. They don't see what we see. But I like this comment here from Warren. Drop your comments in. Put your 2 cents in. We'll talk about it. Yankees constantly trying to follow other teams' models. Facts. Instead of getting an identity and sticking with it, they always follow people. I don't think that, Warren, I think you're spot on. How many times have we said they're trying to be the Rays? And Boone's trying to manage like he was Kevin Cash, and they're on 2 different levels. The organizations are run differently.
Looking at, just to interrupt, I'm looking at Clark Schmidt's last 10 starts. And not one of those starts has he given up 4 runs. Not one. It's all been either 1 run, 2 runs, or 3 runs in his last 10 starts. Quality starts every single outing over his last 10. Um, his numbers are absolutely fine. I think he's doing a very very good job.
Yep. Yeah, and Warren follows up with that. For prior years they tried to be the Rays. This year they tried to follow Houston last year. Rookie shortstop, great pitching, etc. And and if he gives you a little thank you. And D-Rod's in the building. Where'd you go, D-Rod? Here we go. He goes, but every team is doing what the Rays are doing. Yankees are doing it worse. Yeah. No, it's true. The Yankees can't get out of their own freaking way. They really can't. They're so desperate to get back to that promised land that they're looking at. It's almost like they're looking at those old paper maps, the paper atlases, and they don't know how to read it. So because they can't function without the computer, right? So that's how it all ties in. The computer tells them this is the way to go, and then it's like all they see on their screen, rerouting, because they can't figure it out. They really can't.
And that leads us seamlessly into game 1 of the series.
Oh boy,
that was a disaster of a game. We left a small village on the base paths. In fact, I could even say a large village on the base paths. The amount of people that we had on base, and we couldn't bring any of them over, apart from one sac fly from McKinney. We loaded the bases in 3 innings.
Yeah.
And couldn't do anything. Ridiculous. We had the bases loaded, nobody out. Bases loaded, 1 out. And base loaded, nobody out, and 1 run. It's an embarrassment. That was ridiculous to watch. And that's why I don't like Bowers in the leadoff position. I don't like it. The amount of times that he had opportunities to bring runs in, he couldn't do it from the leadoff spot. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why they're persevering with that. I start my top guys, the top of the order. Gleyber Torres, Judge, Stanton, DJ. Something like that. Something around those 4 guys need to be in the first 4 of the order. In my opinion, I don't want Bowers leading off. I don't think he's a leadoff hitter. I never thought he was. I think it's just kind of asinine and a bit stupid. But it was very frustrating to watch that game. And you know what? Pissed me off the most? Was that Garrett Cole pitched a beautiful game, and he got done for 4 runs, which he didn't deserve. He only gave up 2 runs over 7 innings, but a dumb pitching move to bring in Tommy Kahnle, and Kahnle blew the whole thing up. So Garrett Cole had a much worse stat line than he deserved, and I just feel terrible for the guy that he's pitching a Cy Young caliber year, and we're a last place organization because of complete malfeasance from our front office and management, I have to say. That Garrett Cole is having a wonderful year. Every game, he's pitching a great game. And it reminds me of DeGrom for the Mets. Remember, DeGrom would go 8 innings and 1 run almost every 5 days, and he'd lose more times than not because they couldn't score a single run. It kind of reminds me of that to a large extent because this Yankee team can't get out of its own way for Garrett Cole.
I brought this up while I was helping out the Morning Brew yesterday.
Yeah.
The problem with the Yankees and really the way Boone manages this bullpen and the mixed with the analytics, the bullpen may have the best ERA in a clean inning. They have the worst ERA in a dirty inning. Why would you? They should have, as much as look. Cole's a bulldog. He wanted to go out for the 8th. Respect it. He deserves the option to go out there. And we don't know where Rob is. He's playing hooky today, Mr. Barris. But good morning to you. But we'll yell at him for you.
Good to see you, Joe.
If you're going to let him take an inning, you really have to be cautious of how far you let him go when you're going to stretch him out. I think at that point, it did more damage to trust him than to just go with your gut and just go, all right, if he puts a runner on this late in the game, where the game, in theory, was still in grasp, you forfeited the game by bringing the bullpen in with runners on, because those are the two runners that scored to increase Cole's line from only 2 runs allowed over 7 to 4 runs over 7+, which makes his line look a lot worse, where it really wasn't his freaking fault. It's just this in that bullpen that can't come in and strand runners. They can't do it.
Just look at what Warren France says here. DeGrom wants Cy Young going like 4-7. Cole's in the same boat. They hate him. Bases loaded 3 times with an ace on the mound, only scoring 1 run. Disgusting. That was a disgusting loss. It was very frustrating. It was remarkably bad at bats with the bases loaded. Every single one of them were awful. However, I do have to say, I thought Lance Diaz called one of the worst games I've seen this year from the umpire spot. He was dreadful. And Aaron Boone was right.
For both teams.
Yeah, but he was particularly bad for the Yankees. Aaron Boone, I do think that he overdoes this complaining about balls and strikes thing, but he was spot on to get himself ejected 2 days ago. I thought he was spot on with everything that he destroyed Diaz about, because Diaz was screwing the Yankees big time. We had a ton of at-bats that we could have gone into a hitter's count with, and Diaz was calling strikes that were about this far out of the zone, that far out of the zone. It was very frustrating. So horrible umpire. He's a dreadful umpire. And it did screw us. I think it probably screwed us out of a couple runs.
Yeah, definitely.
It's cruel punishment. we badly needed that game. Like, we had to sweep the series against the White Sox, in my opinion. But listen, as long as we win the series, we have to win tonight. But it was a very frustrating loss, leaving 100 base runners on. Like, it was just awful, horrible at bats, and it does go beyond Diaz, but he did not help us. I'll just say that.
When you going back to the whole bases loaded thing, because it was really aggravating. I got home from work, the game is on, and that's I think the third time they had loaded the bases, and I'm sitting with Aunt Tats, and she's like, "Oh, I got the bases loaded." I'm like, "Yeah, don't get your hopes up." I said, "We've been through this road twice already with they ran out of gas." So, and I'm like, "All right, we got a sack fly out of it," and I'm like, "Great, that's what we're gonna get excited over." She was trying so hard to really get into the game. Oh, bases loaded, putting her pom poms on, and I'm like, "No, don't even worry about it, hon."
Exactly, because look at the bats though that are coming up at the bottom of the order. Who are you trusting?
Yep.
MH has a question. I like Volpe, but Volpe really struggles with once there's 2 strikes on him. Like, you basically say, "Oh, he's an automatic out," because he struggles to square up on pitches with 2 strikes. He doesn't see pitches very well. The whole Roard vet can't hit worth a shit. Higashioka isn't that much better. He's a little bit better. He's significantly better than Roard vet in my opinion, but he's still not an everyday catcher. We don't have any power in left field. Like, there's a big drop off in the middle to the bottom of the order, and that's why when the bases are loaded, I'm like, who are we going to trust? Well, Jake Bauers is our leadoff hitter. Come on, I know he hits the odd home run, but he needs to be towards the bottom of the order. They need an actual leadoff hitter, but they don't have anything. And Warren is right. Volpe's trying to pull everything. I'm losing a little bit of faith in what they're doing with Volpe. I don't think that they're making the most of him. I'd like to see him square the ball up to all fields like Gleyber Torres. But
I was just gonna say we need him to be. Who would have thought that this statement would have been made this year? He needs to take some lessons from from Torres on how to really just use the whole field. Because when Torres is able to do it, he does it better than just about anybody. Him and LeMahieu, IKF actually, you know what? Screw Torres and DJ. Take lessons from IKF on how to use the field. Because IKF is really, he's killing it.
Yeah, but he's not a 5-hole hitter.
No.
Agreed, John.
No, he's either like a 7-8 guy or even, you know what? I wouldn't have a problem if they put him leadoff. Because at least, he does his on-base percentage and his contact, you're more likely to have somebody to judge.
I prefer him to Bowers leading off. I really hate Bowers leading off. It annoys me.
Yeah, and Hypebeast, what's going on? IKF has been a nice surprise. Absolutely. We've been kind of really switching the narrative on IKF. I got a little distracted here from Dev's comment here. I'm not going to pull it up, but I have bad luck praying to my uncle. We found out, Dev, sorry to hear that. Prayers for you, man.
Prayers for you, man.
And wow, see, actually, somebody agrees with me.
No, you're right, Tats. You are right.
I'm not going to let it get to my head.
It's very frustrating to watch because they're doing the opposite of what you need to do with 2 strikes. Well, instead of trying to swing out of your shoes to guarantee a strikeout, how about trying to make contact? You never know what can happen.
It's he's got these habits of. Let's see if I'm trying to pull something up for. Here we go. He's getting into the bad habits. That what am I wrong about, MH?
I think he's joking.
Oh, okay. Because Warren agreed with me. I'm like, what the hell did I do?
Come on, Pat. Focus, my guy. Focus.
It must be a Wednesday. No, it's Volpe. I think it might be. We had said it, and the more I think about it, the more they try to move him up the lineup, the worse he's getting. Just leave him down in the bottom of the lineup. Let him hide down there, with the protection of IKF, and just let him figure it out on his own. Stop putting all the pressure on him. I think that if the rest of the offense was clicking and Volpe was just trying to figure things out, and the other thing is we put Volpe on this pedestal that we wanted him on so bad that maybe he's just not ready for that as a rookie. Maybe next year he snaps out of it and really starts.
He's definitely not ready, but I don't think the Yankees have helped him. I know that they're playing him every day, and that's great, but I don't like the way that the Yankees develop their prospects. I don't think that they've got. I don't think that they have the type of guys at the major league level that can coach. I don't see it. It's not like we used to have. It's not like we had.
There it is.
It's not like we had guys like Pena and Joe Girardi, who, whatever you think of him as a manager, he knew how to coach guys. He held them to a high standard, and obviously he's a professional. And then you had Rob Thompson, who knows his shit. Excellent coach. We had really good coaches, but we got rid of them all for an analytics system, which I have yet to see has been a benefit to the Yankees. I'm sure it benefits other teams, but it hasn't been a benefit to the Yankees because they overuse it, overdo it, and I think it's been at a detriment to our coaching because I think that Anthony Volpe needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work with his swing, especially with 2 strikes, and I'm not seeing what they're doing because there's film every day. Every aspect is videoed every day, and I don't understand how they are so slow to pick up on the fact that he is struggling to see pitches that are like medium high. He swings out of his shoes, and he completely misses them. Pitches way out of the zone, he's swinging and missing at them. Now, I don't want to gang up on Anthony Volpe. He needs time. It's not a criticism of Volpe. It's more a criticism of the fact that I don't think that they're watching the film with him enough.
Yeah, and right as you were saying it, even MH threw it in the chat. Gotta watch the film. It's no, it's not a trashing or not wanting to go forward with Volpe or putting this bubble around them. We do have to call it like we see it. If he's not playing well, we have to acknowledge that. And it's not that we're giving up on him. We just have to be honest on how we're analyzing these games and these at bats. He's a work in progress. MH, you're right. You know, but the no, I don't think the age is an excuse, Warren. He's yanktified, as Donald likes to say, and they put him into the situation where you've passed up on all these other shortstops in the free agent market. Going, Volpe's the guy, Volpe's the guy, Volpe's the guy. You had a phenomenal spring training, right? We all know he did. It wasn't like he was gift wrapped this position. He did earn it in the spring.
He did.
And when the season started, we were screaming, they better make this call. They better have him, don't manipulate the time. Just let him start in the year. Right? They did that. We praised it. Then because he wasn't playing like a Hall of Famer off the bat or an All-Star off the bat, we started to lose a little bit of faith. And now we started questioning the Yankees' judgment because Peraza was starting to get misused. So it all ties together with the future of the infield. So that's where it's just so frustrating because all right. So Warren, I love you in the chat. So I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I do disagree a little bit with the back and forth. But no, stick to your guns, man. You guys can't say he earned anything in spring training. Dominguez and others hit better than him, so why aren't they here? I actually was screaming for Dominguez to start the year as well. I wanted Dominguez to start over Hicks. You can roll back the tape. I said it. I was a big advocate to just let Dominguez just stay up. And I was told, nope, can't do it. Nobody, there were very few that people wanted to see him play. Dominguez couldn't catch a watermelon in the outfield. I don't know about that.
I was still an advocate of. I wanted Peraza and Volpe up, and I still haven't seen what Peraza's done that is so much worse than Anthony Volpe. In my opinion, I haven't seen a massive difference between the two. They both look kind of similar. Like I think that Peraza actually has a better eye at the plate than Volpe. In fact, I know he's got a better eye at the plate than Volpe, and I think he's got a better glove than Volpe. I just think that Volpe's been handed the job because he's the golden child. I hope it works, but I would like to see more Peraza, and I don't like that they sent him down again. I think he's gonna be Clint Fraziered. I really do see it. I think they're gonna Clint Frazier him and just have him on the shuttle bus up and down, up and down, up and down until he's going to be DFA'd or traded for a bag of baseballs, which Brian Cashman loves to do. So I'm not loving what I'm reading between the tea leaves of the way they're treating Oswald Peraza. But there are some other really good guys I like. I like Pereira. I want to see more of him. I hope he gets called up in the next week or two. He needs to be playing left field. Let's forget this stupid platoon that we have right now in left field. And also, whatever happened to Oswaldo Cabrera? Now, I know he struggled, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, what good is it to make him the 26th man? He's been on the shuttle bus and underutilized, and we're seeing a lot of McKinney and all this stuff. I don't know. Again, we should be developing our prospects, not relying on journeymen.
No. Well, at least, and if he's pointing out this buzz, and I've heard it too, that Pereira is being highly rumored to be the September call-up. I actually would be very in favor for that. Because they got to start using these. They got to start using these prospects.
Oh yeah, and
Let-
I really think that the part of the reason why we are where we are in last place is because they don't believe in their farm system, and they've overdone it with journeyman. I take that to the bank. As nice a story as it is that Billy McKinney's actually played very well in his time here, and Jake Bowers has been a decent find. As nice a story as that is, there's no upside to these guys. Zero upside. Because what are you learning? You're not learning anything. We're in last place anyway, so you might as well develop your prospects, see what you have, and then you can actually have a long-term vision. But I'm not sure what the Yankees' vision is. And a spoiler alert, that's going to be the title of my next article, and I'll post it on this chat once it's published. But I don't know what the Yankees' vision is. I still don't. But
this is the vision we get.
talking about the future, I do have something that I came across. So I'll share the screen. You guys can have a look. Let's do this.
What's going on, Mazza? Sunil, how's everything going? Hope the family's well. Send me a message later. Let me know how it's going. But while he's pulling that up, I do want to say we are going to try to figure out what day works best to do our next open panel. We've been having a lot of fun with that. So you guys, you know how it all works. So we will be planning to announce our next open panel show for you guys to come and hang out with us. So
have you got the page shared?
It should be.
Can you see it?
It's just doubling up the home screen. It's not coming up.
Okay.
What'd you do?
So you can't see that, no?
No.
God damn it. Okay, I'll just read it out then.
All right.
Okay. This is what I've come across from Bob Clappish. Brian Cashman will return in 2024. Aaron Boone's status with the Yankees is less certain. Despite the mounting pressure, a source familiar with Hal Steinbrenner's thinking says the owner has already decided one of the two will be back in 2024. Cashman is safe. The idea of firing Cashman isn't even on the table. It's not up for discussion. Boone's fate is less certain, in part because he has only 1 year remaining in his contract, and the Yankees' lackluster play has left Steinbrenner deeply frustrated, according to the same source. But unlike his father, the young boss is loath to make a managerial change unless absolutely necessary, and even then, a sacking isn't guaranteed. So that's where we're at. It looks like Brian Cashman is 100% coming back. There's no discussion on that. But Aaron Boone, he could be on the block.
That's terrible. What a fucking waste. What are we doing here? Why do we got to keep putting up with this shit? You see it's not fucking working. But they're just going to want to be like, yeah, Joan, you're right. We're screwed. It's haven't we been put through enough with this drought of the World Series and this pound? We want to pound our chest that we're the big bad. We have the most championships of any sports team in the world. It's all becoming a joke. The dynasty years with the next generation is going to be such a fond memory. It's going to be like when we try to talk about Murderers Row. We wish we would have been there, but we'll never see it to fully appreciate it.
Listen, I am not a fan of Aaron Boone. I think Aaron Boone's management is everything wrong with modern sports, in my opinion, or even modern management. It's too soft. It's too kumbaya. There's no urgency. He just repeats the same nonsense, but it is the same nonsense that's fed to him by Zillow, the media guy, and Brian Cashman, right? So he's just repeating what he's asked to repeat. Now, I would never, in that position, accept being treated like a puppet. I would hate that. I would stand against that. But Aaron Boone is just happy with his job. And I understand it, but it's tough to see. I think Aaron Boone is probably a better manager than he's being allowed to manage, because I think if he was on his own accord, I think he'd manage slightly better in a smaller market. Um, as I say, he's got the players back, so he's got some aspects to his thing that works. He's got his players back. That's why the players like him. He does fight the umpires. I like that. But his strategy is dreadful, and the way he motivates is dreadful, and the team looks like they're shot. And also, I don't think he prepares them. They look unprepared, disinterested, and wholly unprepared for October. He does a whole lot of stuff wrong that anyone with half a brain would do differently. But as much as I want him to go, and as much as I'd love to see him go, this is all on Brian Cashman. All of it. There's as a tiny percentage that Aaron Boone's at fault for, but all of this is Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman has created one of the worst rosters I have ever seen for $300 million. It's remarkable. It's remarkable how incompetent he is. He's every trade he's made is wrong. Every free agent signing he's made is blown up. He made 5 major league deals at the trade deadline last year, and all of them failed. It's remarkable how bad he is at his job over the last 36 months. Incredible. I don't think if they hired Mr. Magoo over the last 3 years to manage this team, I couldn't think of a worse general manager. Honestly, I don't think he could have done worse.
Yeah, it's Nick, you're hilarious. Serio's throwing a gem. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and my hair's growing back, and it's not going to happen. But the fact that we have to and you guys are all saying it in the chat, and I'm trying not to just completely lose my mind and go off. But it's getting to that point where there's no answer. Because even if they completely just fuck everything up, they fall under 500, they miss the playoffs, they're under 500, you got players that won't get all pissed off. You're gonna have a lot of tension in the dugout, in the locker room, and the money. People could not go to a game, right? We can tell people how to be a fan all we want. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, right? Like I said, some go to the games because they want. They're gonna ride out the bad times as much as the good. They have so much money, the attendance won't matter. The ticket sales is probably one of the smallest portions of their revenue. Don't.
I listen.
You know what? At least
you're not wrong. But the thing is, the Mets actually had talent. They just haven't performed. The Mets have a lot of talent up and down the order. They just haven't performed. They had Verlander and Scherzer. They just were too old. On paper, it was a great team. On paper, this Yankee team sucked. But they didn't have a left fielder. They don't have a catcher.
No, it's at least, Nick, with your team, with the Mets. What's going on, Will Starr? I see you, Nick. It's at least you had an owner that recognized right away, hey, this isn't working, right? Before we get completely buried, let's just start. Let's hit reset, And they started to retool a little bit, build up their minor league system for next year and the year after. Our owner would see those contracts and be like, "Well, I already spent the $40 million. You know what? I can't throw that money away. I have too much pride to let my team perform well and dig itself out of a hole." At least your owner recognized that there was a problem and started fixing it. Our owner thinks everything is just fucking fine and dandy.
Exactly. At least they have a kind of a vision of some kind. I'm not sure what the Yankees' vision is. They're kind of staring at an abyss of mediocrity. They're kind of like a, what would you say? They're kind of like a 9-8 team in football, where you're too good to tank, but you're not good enough to compete.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where they're at. They're above 500, but they're pretty much in last place, and they're almost out of contention for a wild card spot unless they go on a crazy winning streak, which I haven't seen all season long. So they're just kind of in between, and that's fine for ownership because as long as they're over 500, they can still have the fans come and fill out the stands. You still got Aaron Judge to play, even though he's hurt. They'll be like, just have him there. He's a draw, and there it is. Just signed, sealed, delivered. Spend $1,000 to go to a Yankee game and watch them play like shit.
Yep.
Just very disappointing.
Yeah, wait till they play the Braves. It's going to be brutal. They're going to. It's not even the Braves. We might, we're having trouble with, we won a very good game. We put up some runs, and our pitchers came through yesterday. But it's not like
well said, Mazza.
Yeah, Yankees are directionless. At least, we were able to win a game. Who knows what?
The solution is the Yankees need to get younger, healthier, and more athletic. This roster needs to be rebuilt. That's what it is. They are startlingly unathletic. They are older and they're overly right-handed. They need to get some left-handed bats in there. They need to change their philosophy. Instead of this uppercut swing nonsense, they need to start bringing back contact baseball. And they need to bring in some guys that can bat from the left side, and they need to get some guys that are athletic. And they have some in their farm, but they just won't use them. So, listen, the thing is, the answers are there, D-Rod. We've been saying these answers. It's kind of clear. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out what's wrong with this team. They're overly right-handed and unathletic, and the problem with being overly right-handed is that it sets up pitching lanes for other teams' bullpens, because they're like, well, this team is entirely right-handed. We're just going to get a specialist that can get righties out, and bish bash bosh, job done. And that's how they've been winning games.
Yep.
That's how other teams have been winning games against us. That's how good teams beat us. And what's our record against good teams? Terrible.
It'd be good.
We've got a losing record against teams that are above 500. That tells you everything that's wrong with this organization.
Yeah, it says, Cashman's been dropping the ball. And we've watched Cashman operate this team for 25 fucking years already. I don't even think he's ever touched a baseball. Right? Let alone how to even manage the team. He has proven he can't do anything right. Right? We have Mr. Barrows with, what about Bader, Torres, Judge, Stanton, and DJ for the first five? I like Bader. Bader or IKF I would have as my leadoffs.
Yeah. I prefer him to Bowers.
Yeah.
Sunil. Good to see Sunil in the chat. Shout out, Sunil.
Yep. Bring him back up. There he is.
I saw Oppenheimer yesterday, and it occurred to me that Christopher Nolan could make a 2-part biopic on the Yankees. So the first part would be on George, and the next part would be a shit show on Hal and Hank. Oh, my God. That would be a movie in itself. In fact, it should be a series.
Yeah.
Dramatization. And it would be remarkable how, you'd have the first part, the Yankee dynasty, George, Jeter, Posada, Pettit, Tino, Bernie, the whole crew. And then you could go fast forward to 2023, where you've got no left fielder, you have a bunch of backup catchers, you have infielders playing outfield, and you got a general manager and manager repeat the same nonsense and treat fans like complete idiots. Yeah, that would be one hell of a series. Oh, Josh Donaldson.
No, what they really I'm gonna throw this to you guys in the chat too. I want to know if you guys agree. All right, it's should we just completely abandon what we're doing? Just call up Peraza, Dominguez, Pereira, all these kids, Wells, right? Call them up. Give them September. See what you got, because you're not. The division was lost in the first month.
True.
The wild card is a fucking pipe dream.
Shot.
Even if you make it to the wild card, is the third wild card, which is still a fucking pipe dream.
We're gonna get shot anyway, so we might exactly.
You're gonna be sent home in one game anyway.
That's it. You're not gonna win anything.
Flag on these postseason dreams, and just give us something to look forward to for next year. Enough's enough.
Pick a direction. That's all I'm asking them to do. Pick a direction. If they wanted to go all out, they had the trade deadline to do so. If they wanted to go all out, they could have gotten Bellinger in June. They didn't do it, right? It's shot. They can't compete. They're out of it. They don't have a left fielder. They don't have the starters or the bullpen, in my opinion, to even think about a World Series. It's done. It's gone. It's shot, right? Rizzo is going to come back concussion. I don't know how long it's going to take him to be fully healthy. Aaron Judge isn't fully healthy. This season is shot. You might as well call up all our guys and learn from our prospects. What have our prospects got, right? Use that as a template as to how to build around a decent team in 2024. If Wells turns out to be a good catcher, great. You got your catcher moving into 2024. If Pereira plays a really good left field, great. You got your left fielder in 2024. You use what you learn in the next month or two to help in 2024, because 2023 is finished. It's shot. It was ruined in April. In fact, no, it was ruined at Christmas when we screwed up in the offseason, thanks to Brian Cashman.
Yeah.
So you might as well learn from what we have. Else it won't be a worse team than it is already. It's not. It's not going to be any worse.
They got to do something. They really do. Because if this is what they think is going to motivate the team, does that really look like motivation to you? And thank you to Jigga Man for this graphic. It's freaking hilarious. I do have it saved. But, that doesn't get me excited for next year. But if you're able to use a lot of these prospects for, in September, right? NFP, I know you're dying. It's at least you'll have a better idea of what you're going to need to do in the off season. Are you going to need to go and I'd rather know now what Wells is going to be able to do. Have him start playing for first base. Especially while Rizzo is out. I know you don't want to. It's really hard to convince an organization or the fan base of an organization like the Yankees that if we completely collapse in September trying these kids out, that they're going to just turn their back and become fans of another team. I told there's a guy I work with who said he's going to start rooting for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm like, well, then go vote for that, go root for them, and don't come back. You can't.
Thanks, Warren.
Yeah, what is that? This is many times of flush. So Neil, I think between you and Hirsch have to be two of the most hilarious commenters in the streaming community. You guys are awesome. It's one of I'm really just ready to say, what? If they bring these kids up and they maybe win one or two games in September, but these kids are really showing a lot of promise and a lot of fight, I wouldn't be mad. I really wouldn't.
But look at what we've got right now. We're looking at Bowers, who's a journeyman, playing first base. You got McKinney/IKF, or a journeyman, playing left field. Bader is an expiring contract playing center field. Giancarlo Stanton's DH. Aaron Judge, he's a lock in right field. Fine. Third base is up in the air because of Josh Donaldson, and he sucks, right? Torres, his contract is up very soon, and we don't know if he's going to be re-signed or not. Catcher, we've got a bunch of backup catchers filling out a position. So you tell me where we're going to be worse by calling up decent prospects that have upside to see what you have, right? Because that's how the Yankees learned in 2016 what to do in 2017. That's how they did it. They were like, let's give Gary Sanchez a chance. Let's give these guys a chance. Give Aaron Judge a chance. Let's give and then they learned, and then they built a decent team. They're not learning anything by just sticking them out in the minors and overusing guys like Josh Donaldson. Like it's the stupidest Willie Calhoun as well. My God, like what were they doing with Willie Calhoun? And
Warren, this is what we absolutely agree on.
The
Those
dumbest
have been put
dumbest
up
thinking.
as journeymen.
It's the dumbest thinking I have actually ever come across from an organization. It's so stupid and backwards. I have nothing but disrespect for the way that Brian Cashman has imploded this organization over 3 years. Like, it was a good team 3 years ago. He has imploded it from the inside.
We took a core team in 2017 where nobody thought they were going to, really had no hope for, where no expectations, high expectations, right? We all had hope. We didn't have high expectations for 2017. They made it one game away from the World Series. They handed Cashman handed it over to Boone, and they have gotten exponentially worse year by year by year. The injuries are getting worse and worse and worse.
Uh-huh.
Their ignorance has gotten worse and worse and worse. Our frustrations are getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, this whole fucking cycle, it's dangerous. This is very dangerous to the Yankee brand. And nobody but us, the fans, the community here as a whole, nobody but us sees it. Just give it to Jennifer Swindell. Let her take it over. Let the sister take over.
But that's why I'm concerned by Bob Clapper saying that Brian Cashman is even 1,000% coming back. It's amazing to me because he's the biggest culprit to the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't like Aaron Boone. I don't think Aaron Boone's a great manager. I think he's mediocre at best. But he's not at fault for this. No, he makes bad decisions. He's not a good manager, but this isn't on him. Jesus God. This is Brian Cashman.
Yeah, Mazda brought up earlier, when are we ever going to get a legitimate left fielder? Our last left fielder was Brett Gardner. And I know we're not talking years and years ago, but Gardner wasn't even, he was a solid. Yeah, I liked Gardner. He was a Yankee, but he wasn't that superstar that we had to rely on. He was a reliable piece in the order to keep things moving along. When was the last time we really had a threat in left field? I can't think of it.
I don't feel bad for Boone because he gets plenty of money and he's had every opportunity to stand up for himself and have a backbone. Like when they fired his good friends and the coaching staff, and he didn't even back them up. He just let them go because he wanted to protect his own job. Like he could have forced the Yankees' hand in the contract negotiations and say, I want more responsibility, but he didn't do it because he's quite happy with the status quo. So I don't have any sympathy for Aaron Boone. If he had a backbone, none of this would be happening. If he had a backbone, he'd be going after some of these players who play like shit on a daily basis. If he had a backbone, he'd go after them, and publicly too. So he's far too comfortable in his position being Brian Cashman's puppet. So I have no sympathy for him, but I do have sympathy for the fact that this is Brian Cashman, his disaster zone job that he's done, and Aaron Boone's going to take the fall for it. No, he might do, but he might come back as well. He probably will. Let's face it.
I mean, come on. This is the face of mother only a mother could love. I'm just done. I'm done. Boone's got to go just clean house. maybe we should. Maybe, they're never going to sell the team. I think that's. You have more of a chance of Hal selling the team off than Cashman being held accountable for his job. I'm not sure which comes first, but before we have to get going, there's one question that we're going to go into with tonight's game. Severino's on the mound. I'm not going to ask you to score. How many runs does he give up in the first inning?
I say a 2-run home run.
All right, got in the chat. How much of a hole does Severino put us in tonight in the first inning? I think he gives up 4.
Oof.
Yeah, with that lineup, they could put 4 on him easy before an out scored. But, yes, 3 from Will. Jonathan thinks 4, 6 from NF. Warren 3 in the first. Yeah, 3 to 4 automatic loss.
I don't know why the Yankees are putting him out there every 5 days.
Because they had to. No, here's what I think. Brito was called up to travel with, this way he was already with the team, and he was going to take Severino's start. When Rodon went down, they had no option but to use Brito because you didn't want to burn your bullpen that you've already burned.
Yeah.
It's like throwing burnt toast back on the on a bar, on the grill. It's already burnt. You can't there's no bringing it back.
Yeah, right.
So that Rodon going down guaranteed Severino another start. That's how I think that's really how it worked out. No, I would have
said, Joseph. Goes to show what a joke the Yankee organization has become. Well said, my guy.
Yeah. But that is going to wrap things up for us. Hope you guys have all enjoyed it. We've had a blast hanging out with you on the morning. We will be back Friday, 10 a.m. And just remember, hit that like button, subscribe, share this out, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the stranger on this candy store. All right? Let's get everybody building up. The channel is growing. You guys are a huge part of that. We thank you. We will be setting up the next open panel, so stay tuned for that. And as always, wear your pinstripes, your pride, and play hard.
Thanks, guys.